This is not just a story of songs. This is a story far beyond the dimensions of music. This is a story of a man who followed what he loved and used it to make the world a better place. Raul Santos Beray, or some people back then called him Cordilleran, was born in the mid-60s in Poblacion, Bocod, Benguet. His father was from Carao, Bocod, Benguet, a place of people with quite similar but distinctive language and culture, and his mother had Bocod, Cabayan, and La Trinidad roots. As a child, Raul Beray showed strong interest in music. He would watch and listen to the folks playing the guitar and singing around the small community. He would do silly but adorable things like climbing a tree and singing some songs on top of it. His family would laugh out of amusement for this young boy who would soon make them proud. He continued by joining singing groups and choir when he was in grade 3 and learning attentively to their music teacher. His music inspirations were composed of legendary American country music superstars such as Merle Haggard and Buck Owens. After graduating high school, he would not continue his education. He chose without a doubt to follow what his heart wanted: music. Say pangko mang kansyonak mang gitara jadi tulog tua. To make a difficult dream become reality, he frequented bars and folk houses in Baguio City where live music was the favorites. He would write his name on a piece of paper as a form of request if he could be allowed to perform as a guest singer. Soon after, the bar managers started to notice his performing abilities and finally invited him to become one of their stable performers. He would continue to put himself in the radar of music lovers who frequented him in the folk houses where he would play both Western and local country songs. He became one of the local stars who people back then were eager to see perform. His dream of becoming a musician was finally achieved. But little did he know that it wasn't the highlight of his dream. In the year 1986, he was approached to record an album by Pan-Avatan Records, a stable recording studio in the Cordillera, by Mr. Marcons Dayawan. He was offered to sing a dozen of Kankanaey songs, but because he grew up speaking Ibaloi, although he could speak Kankanaey, his accent could not make it work. It just didn't work. The Kankanaey album would soon be materialized through another music Igorot legend, Mr. Romy Angel. Raul Beray was disheartened and discouraged. In his mind, the possibility of his dream of recording songs to solidify might have already been over. But another door opened as he was encouraged by the studio, by Mr. Marcons Dayawan, that if he could write his own songs, he will get a record. He did not give up. His heart for music and his dream of recording his talents pushed him to go back to his roots in Bukod, Benguet. In there, he believed he would find the answer. Once home, Mr. Raul Beray collected ideas from his relatives. His talented relatives would inspire him of his writings. Some of his songs were actually written by his uncle. Then, in the same year, at 21 years old, Raul Beray would grasp his dream alive through recording his very first album, Ay Aray Asuga. This became an instant success as people in the province and other more provinces had welcomed and patronized his very first recording. Volume 2 quickly followed with the album named Iskoida. The song Iskoida would eventually become one of his most celebrated songs. Iskoida, gayang naman, mengitami, pansisyan, jalan kentung, mudah dakwang, akalamai awan. With another success, it was inevitable for Volume 3 to follow. The album with the title Jug Jug was out and inspired by the unforgettable disaster that happened in the region, the great 1990 killer earthquake. This is a ni Julio, oras ni alas 4. Jug Jug kama besar, agnuman maya besar. The 90s decade would make Raul Beray a full-time performer in folk houses in Baguio City. He initiated the first time ever daytime folk house where they found success. In the span of 10 years, he would perform in many other entertainment establishments around the city such as Gold Rush, Genesis, Tobacco, 168, Old West, NDA, and in the coming years, Amarillo, Batawa, and where he spent the most years, BCS or Baguio Country Sounds. Salva, jana bistida, janda manugda. It was through these experiences where Raul Beray would gain a lot of followers, friends, and acquaintances. People who patronized his first 3 albums would go and see him in the establishments where he performed. He would also be invited in many occasions such as weddings. The year 2000 was a comeback for his records. It was a reunion with Pan-Abatan Records to produce his Volume 4 entitled Iyaak Muan Ali. Umusta kayo muan kahit na tudong, magtanda ako tan magtanda sa lunat yun. Istorya priboni hapon, jagjo inabon. Sai guaray ang tanjo, tan guaray istorya yung mauno dalim nahantan po anjo. Si Ibaloi Cordilleran. 7 more albums would come out through his collaboration with good Pan-Abatan Records. all of which became success at their own time of releases. Other albums also were produced from other studios like that of respectable Mr. June Garcia, and he had some albums that contained songs where he featured his daughter and son.
Salamat Ama, salamat Ina, Ansun sumak juak derti kami, Dumbader ka, sing-sing patan ko'y iskwidak say si kayo gawoy, nakisilbihan.
And when I asked him if did he ever expect those records to be successful, he said no. And then he just said his thanks and appreciation to all the people who listened to his music.
In-expect mo ba maging success di ay? Di volume 1 mo?
Haan, basta di alay parang sukot, makarecord ako ta. Agpaspasalamat ako di awatan recording. Hindi kanyak ti tsansa. Ay mang believe kanya, salamat unay. Ti dakal unay data nga tulong yung kanya, agiyam na unay, ti pinang appreciate yung kanya. Awan ti Raul Beray no, awang kayo. Salamat unay.
In total, he had 15 albums in the span of 3 decades. Raul Beray never had the idea of stopping. To him, music is everything. He kept producing and singing for the people. He actually mentioned an up-and-coming album, Volume 16, which is already produced but not yet distributed because of the pandemic. Entertainment for the people wasn't the only place where he invested his talents. Since the year 2000s, he had been a part of the Concert for a Cause movement. It's a concert that longed to produce finances to help the people in desperate need. It's basically a charity. He continued in taking part in these charity concerts for 2 decades. Even with the coming of the COVID-19 pandemic, he never stopped. They established an online concert series entitled RB's, Raul Beray's Melody of Love, together with other Cordilleran musicians on social media platforms, YouTube and Facebook, through Nuro Recording Studio, a studio owned by his son, Engineer Raul Beray. Supporters and donors would continuously send donations in support of Raul Beray's cause of raising financial help for the sick and needy people.
Nung sinasyutan ko, pinapatagnis ko dyan, panayon may barbarkada, sikatong alay madagdag ka, pag ultimong naisiyuda, yaman ko, kainan ang lusan ko.
See, the thing that makes this man a legend is not only his musical talents, the ability of his songs to transform lives, the inspiration from every word of his songs, his unending love for music. But one more thing that makes him a legend is his heart. He did not give up. He pursued what he loved. He made a community. He created a bigger family. He stayed humble after all these years. And he helped a lot of people.
Salamat sunsi kayo, intulong Diyos, impunidi kami.
I had the honor to meet the guy, Mr. Raul Beray, that made me so happy. Mr. Raul Beray was a part of my life, though I'm not related at all with their family. I kind of feel like I was truly inspired because his songs are the nostalgia of my life. When I listen to his songs, the older songs, I immediately get this feeling of going back to my childhood and remembering the happy moments of me and my family, and just the happy moments of being a child, waking up in the afternoon at 3 o'clock with the sun going down and the air And with the radio on, I'm a big booster of Igorot country music. And for me, he's number one. To me, he's the best. He's the first voice that I've ever appreciated. The moment that I messaged him, I invited him to my little talk show in my channel. He immediately responded and he said yes. And I was the happiest man in the world, like person that you admire replied to you and he said yes. And there we had the talk show, where I heard from him whatever he had to say. I asked him some couple of questions and I was just so happy. It was like meeting someone that you really wanted to meet at last. And I told him that one day I will meet him in person and take a selfie with him. After the interview, after the camera was shut off, I told him one thing. I promised him to make a video about him. And so he was grateful about it, and that kind of thing was one of the things that I really wanted to do, to make a video about the people that gave us, that helped our community in some special way. I mean, entertainment for the people is somehow as important, as some other things. And so I asked him for some pictures, like old photos of him back then, and he just sent me. And so it was materializing. But 2 months after, until now, I haven't finished it yet. So I didn't understand myself. Why in the world did I not finish that video? And what is more heartbreaking for me was Wednesday. It was 4 days. It was 4 days before his passing. That was supposed to be the day that I'm going to release the video about him. It was Wednesday and he passed away like Sunday. And the moment that I learned that he passed away, I was so shocked. And because 1 week earlier, every thought, I make videos and I think of, I plan for the idea. I write for it for a couple of days, and the entire week before his passing was all about him. So 2 months took me. I had been writing, I was thinking and writing about it. But the 1 week before his passing it was like the ultimate week where I was thinking about it. And it was supposed to be finished because I had written it already and it was ready. But I didn't understand how I didn't finish it. So I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, I went back to our old videos. I listened to the entire conversation, and there's a big lesson that I learned, and I want others to learn too, because this is very important. I mean, life, we don't know. Life is short. While our loved ones, our families are still there, we should make them feel that we love them. We should let them see that we care for them. We should express it right now, because the present is the most important. We should tell them that we love them. We should show them that we care for them and let them appreciate, and you too appreciate them. And when I went back to the videos, I kind of feel relieved a little bit. He would not stop saying thank you. One thing that is really lovely is that even before my interview, he was actually watching some of our videos at FDG stages, because I and my team, Clover, Hilbert, and Devero, are making a lot of reference to him. We would mention his name, his like his place on our videos, and surprisingly, he was watching them and he appreciated it. And kind of made me smile and made us happy, because at least we were able to express to him our appreciation. He will forever be remembered as a legend who did something extraordinary, not only singing, but influencing a lot of people and helping people. And that is the greatest thing. Thank you, Idol Sir Raul Beray. You will always be a legend.
I'm so thankful, and I'm so honored nga makaskasaop na kayo tadta, because you have been my inspiration. I've been listening to you since childhood, and salamat ti hospitality you and giving me this time.
Salamat mo ti penang koyo kenyak. Kalunay nga yaman.
Anya nga ti may bagakat, grabe nga paspasalamat na kanyang idol, kasi talaga nga hindi pa lang kahit kung nga apan lang man nagpa-picture ng tatakat makasasaop na kayo. And I found out that Mr. Raul Beray is a very, very humble, generous, helpful, and understanding person behind those success. Salamat!
Salamat mo, agyaman ako na ka, Freddy, mabubuyak lagi videos mo at adak na ka na yun. Salamat o na TV ng Raul Beray. Salamat o na. God bless.
God bless you, sir.
Inanusa idiga tanbelah sunjika ingkado inanak mua